What's going on, everybody? This is Jeff with Living in Arizona, and today I'm going to be fielding a question about how friendly is the state of Arizona. And I mentioned this in several other videos, but we're actually going to go in and look at some data and some other opinions. And yeah, let's go ahead and dive right in here. If you're thinking about moving to Arizona, or if you're interested in Arizona, you might want to consider subscribing to this channel, Living in Arizona. Let's go ahead and dive in and field this question here. So this comes from 5 Miller Bugs. He said, I would like to know about the people. Are the people friendly and accommodating? Where we live now, I feel like an outsider, and I have an international family, and we feel much prejudice here. So I don't know exactly where you live here, but we're going to kind of go over that in Arizona. You're saying that wherever you are now, which is not Arizona, you feel prejudice. And then he said, in another comment on another video, he said, I asked about the people in another comment. This is sort of related. How do you compare the Cali people with the Arizona mentality? So I lived in both California and Arizona, so we can also answer that. As a matter of fact, let's answer that first. Overall, I would say that in Arizona, people are more friendly than California. Although Southern California has some pretty friendly people, there's a couple different things to keep in mind about California. There's coastal vibe, which is you can get like the pretentious, like rich, snobby people. And then you can get like the young people who live in Pacific Beach, say, or Newport or Huntington, where they're young, pretentious people. So I call them, and I'm not judging them, but I'm saying, like, you know, people used to say that the GTL culture, gym tan laundry culture, was alive and well in Southern California. And really what that is, you know, if you're a girl, the girls do yoga, they go to the gym, they like to go out to nightclubs and get all dressed up in their gym tan laundry bodies that they've created, right? They're looking fresh, they're tanned, and they've got that yoga gym body. The men kind of go about accommodating that lifestyle for the women, and you know, they all try to congregate at the clubs. Whereas the young people in Arizona say they're definitely into going out. They're not as into the yoga scene, but they also have that gym tan laundry. It's just not quite as, because the crowd in Southern California for the young people, they tend to have more money. Now, if we talk about like the middle-aged people, let's just say 30 to 40 in California versus Arizona. So it seems like most of the people in California, they move out of the city and they move towards the suburbs. So they might start in a place like Pacific Beach, and then if you're still in Pacific Beach after 30 and 40, it's because you've got a house. But most of the time, people go towards like La Jolla or something like Encinitas or something like that. And then if you go up the coast, you know, they'll go up towards like, I don't know, Laguna Beach. They'll go towards Santa Barbara maybe, or even Northern California. They do the same thing. They go more suburban. Arizona, they do that, but they go towards like outside of Phoenix, they go towards Scottsdale or Peoria, depending on your budget, right? Same kind of thing, but the people in Arizona just seem a little bit more friendly and less pretentious. And you asked me the question, I would say that's my opinion is people in California are friendly, Southern California in particular. I didn't find Northern California people to be as friendly as Southern California. So two totally different demographics there, right? Now, that was just my opinion. Like I said, I lived in SoCal and I lived in Central California, but Central California is not a very friendly place at all. Here's how I would always describe it when I was in Central California. In Phoenix, I could go up to someone at the gas station and start a general conversation with somebody. In California, in Central California, I could not do that. If I were to say, hey, cool bumper sticker or cool car, they'd look at you like, why are you talking to them? In Arizona, you can do that like no problem. And I'm here in Arizona now. It's just the way it is. People are more friendly in Arizona. It's been like that for a while. Southern California, you can do that at the gas station. Like, you know, where you just making friends with strangers. The stores, just checking out, for example, if you go to the market or anything, you're going to just start up easier conversations with people in Arizona for the most part than all of California. And that's just how I see it. Now, if we were to go away from California and Arizona, just comparing it, but before we do, it's called the top 10. So they use data to compare the top 10 most friendly states. And on their list, which I don't agree with, they said Arizona's number 37 out of, you know, all the 50 states. I don't know if I agree with that. And they've even got California ranking at number 15. They say the number one most friendly state is Minnesota. Okay, maybe. They say number 5 is Oregon. I would say if I was to compare Oregon and Arizona, which I can make a video on that. I've never lived in Oregon, but Portland, I don't find Portland to be super friendly. I mean, it's tolerable. They're friendly, but I don't find it to be super friendly or outgoing or like easy to start a conversation with people in Portland. Outside of Portland, I thought the rest of the state of Oregon is pretty friendly. I mean, they've got gas station attendants, which is still rare, where you pull into a gas station and someone wants to pump your gas. I guess when you're in another state, like the ways that you would interact with the locals are out at restaurants, at gas stations, or that's basically it. For the most part, you're a tourist there, you're going to be interacting and, going to tourist spots, right? I mean, or you could be going to a dispensary, right? Those people are always friendly at dispensaries. Like people at those, I guess they're called, I don't even know what they're called, dispensaries when they're legal, recreational marijuana. But yeah, I mean, they've got Colorado at number 4. I guess maybe that has something to do with it. Overall, I would say Texas definitely deserves to be up at number 7. Tennessee is pretty friendly. New Mexico and Arizona, I don't really see a big difference between that. So New Mexico being ranked in the top 10 at number 9, okay. Definitely Georgia's deserving to be up there in terms of friendly places compared to other places. But it's just funny to see. Let's see what they rag on Arizona about. I mean, if it's similar to the same things or if they're just kind of making a list for the sake of making a list. Lovely and let live folks outside the bigger cities. People look out for one another but aren't nosy or meddlesome. Tucson is awkward, insular, anti-growth, and stuck in the past. Phoenix is big and can feel impersonal, but the suburbs are nice. Okay, I would agree with that. I mean, I'm a Phoenician. I would say that, yeah, I mean, for the most part. Horrible dating scene. I'm from Ohio and found out fast that it's super hard to make friends here and establish real connections. Most people here are two-faced, only care about themselves, their status, or who they can use next. Do not move here. You will regret wasting your time in this state. Okay, that's someone's opinion. We'll read it. I mean, the dating scene, I mean, it's not hard to find. No. Arizona's dating scene is not this bad. This person just did not hit it off very good. And sometimes it takes a while. Whenever you move, you have to realize you've got to go through this process of getting familiarized with the locals so you stand out in the dating scene. Because if you're a fish out of water, people are like, well, I'm going to date a fish that's in the water, What's that website? Plentyoffish.com. But what I'm saying is stop being like a fish out of water and get comfortable in your own skin and who you are. And then you'll fit right in Arizona. There's plenty of singles in Arizona, okay? Plenty of singles. So, yeah, that's like anywhere. You move somewhere, it's going to be hard to find dates when you're a fish out of water. So try to get in the water and get in the scene and get comfortable. And that usually takes about a year or two, right? Take it from someone who's moved around multiple different places. The more comfortable you are, the more attractive you'll become. This statement is also what I have found. Outside the large cities, the smaller cities that I'm in is so helpful and very nice. I have lived for at least a dozen years in Texas, California, Colorado, Minnesota. Glad to be here in Arizona. So this person's saying it's good to be in Arizona out of all the other places. But they're saying inside the larger city, inside of Phoenix, it's not as friendly. And my biggest gripe with being in Phoenix is there is like these, for lack of a better term, people who are just like homeless, right? Like, I don't know. Sometimes you'll go to a gas station, you'll feel like someone's stalking you to get your money. You're like, excuse me, I'm here to go to the gas station, not to have a conversation with you, creepy person. And there are like people who, when you like at the gas station, I've had this happen where they're like waiting for you to like give them money or something. And I just don't find that to be very comforting, right? So there is that element, but I've seen that in other states too, California. And mostly that's inside the big city. When you get outside the big city and into the smaller towns, you won't have these large pockets of homeless population. But places like Mesa and downtown Phoenix and Phoenix in general, really from like 32nd Street to 32nd Avenue, from pretty much South Phoenix all the way up towards Union Hills, they have an area up there called the Square. I'm going to call it the Rectangle because it's really more of a rectangle. If you take it all the way down towards like, I don't know, McDowell, and even South Phoenix, it's that whole area from 32nd Avenue to 32nd Street. Remember, Phoenix operates on a grid. In between 32nd Street and 32nd Avenue is Central. And then to the east, you have First Street. To the west, you have First Ave, and then just extend that out to 32nd Ave and 32nd Street. That little area there, all the way up to Union Hills, south towards South Phoenix, is where you're going to have the most unfriendly people just because it's lower income and people are just generally not as happy. I think one of the reasons why I think people in Phoenix generally are happier, this is my opinion, than most places that I've been is because of the cost of living. I think people, when they're comfortable and they have a big house or they have a large space to really relax in, they're more happy. That's what I think is personally it. The weather also plays a factor. For the most part, we have a lot of sun. Yeah, sure, it gets hot, but people don't get super cranky when it's hot. They just get really tired, right? But when it's really hot, they get more exhausted, like heat exhaustion. Then they get like pissy, cranky. When people are really freezing cold, they get really cranky. They're just not. They're not opening up to you. They're like, ooh, you know. They're just not happy. They're like, oh my gosh, that is too cold. Whereas in Arizona, because we have good weather, we also have cheap accommodations. You can get, for $300,000, you can get a big property, like a big home on a nice lot with a spacious home. Whereas in California, $300 gets you like a little rinky-dink one-bedroom apartment, right? For $300,000, or a condo. I mean, here it is. You can see my house right now. The sun's coming out. It's December 26th, and it's sunny. And I step outside, it's 72 degrees today, right? So, I mean, whereas wherever you're at, whether it's Minnesota or whatever, I mean, it might not be 72 degrees December 26th. So something to consider. Although they did say Minnesota's the friendliest state, which is a cold state, but that goes back to my whole thing. You can get a big house in Minnesota for a good price. Whereas if you notice these top states, Minnesota, Iowa, Washington. I mean, Washington's kind of expensive. Colorado's like Arizona price range. Oregon's pretty much like Arizona price range. But for the most part, these are affordable places. The places that are not very friendly, like, New York, Massachusetts, California, in my opinion, New Jersey, Delaware, they're expensive, and it's really hard to live in those areas because of, the cost of living. It's got you constantly stressed out. That's my opinion. I don't have all the answers, right? I mean, I'm a pundit. I'm a guy making an analysis and sharing my opinion. So don't think that I know that just because I have an opinion about something doesn't mean that it's fact, right? It's just an opinion. But it's interesting because also on this list they have Nevada at 47. People really like Nevada. They think that Nevada is, like these comments, no, wrong. Nevada is great, full of great people. Nevada and Arizona are very similar. Like, I could compare Las Vegas and Phoenix. That's a video, right? That's already been done. Las Vegas versus Phoenix, very similar. I mean, the big thing that stands out is Las Vegas has a strip where you can be doing any type of casino gaming ever, right? But I mean, for the most part, the climate's very similar. I mean, Vegas actually is more desolate, looking like the moon and Mars, than Phoenix. Phoenix actually has like greenery around here, but Vegas has a nice lake also, Lake Mead. So yeah, I mean, I think definitely it's safe to say people are more friendly in the Southwest, all over the Southwest, than they are back east in New England and stuff. As far as Southern hospitality goes, I mean, it's different. It's a different type of friendly. But most people I ever met from Florida, they say they don't like Florida. I like Florida as a visitor, but every time I've talked to someone who's a taxi cab driver or whatever they do, it just depends on your interactions with locals. They'll say they really don't like Florida. I mean, young people love Florida and wealthy people love Florida because of two different reasons. Young people like it because it's always party scene, right? Older people like it because they can afford to live there in the Sunshine State, which is better than wherever they came from. But for the most part, if you're just an average everyday person, the average everyday person doesn't typically like Florida. But Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama may be more friendly. They got the Southern hospitality like they got in Tennessee. So overall, I would say Arizona has got to be a top 10 state. I'm serious in terms of friendliness. I don't know. I know some people are going to have a negative interaction And it's possible when you first get here, you're going to be a fish out of water. You got to get acclimated. You got to get used to it. But once you get used to it, you're going to find that people in Arizona are definitely very friendly. So the overall question, are people in Arizona friendly? My answer is, compared to most places, yeah, it's definitely in the top 20, top 10. This list has it at 37. I disagree with this list because I don't think this person's ever been here, whoever made this list. Okay. Let's take a look at another list from Business Insider. See where they put Arizona. People seem to say South Carolina's friendly. See, this one's got South Carolina being so friendly. All right, they don't even put Arizona on there. Arizona also kind of goes under the radar too. You got to keep that in mind. A lot of people don't think about that. Ooh, drivers. Best drivers, they're saying Oregon and Washington. Nah, man. Oregon drivers, they're crazy. They like to take over the road, in my opinion. Most arrogant, Texas by far. Okay, so they're saying that people in Texas are pretty arrogant. Don't forget about people from New York, please. People from Arizona, they do have an arrogant attitude, especially in the small towns. The smaller towns, you will find that whole, well, please stop moving here. Like that local mentality that you get anywhere when people, out-of-towners, come moving into your new town. You will have people who say, we were here first, don't move here, right? You know, the whole border wall situation where they're saying, don't move here. It's more or less people just don't like people who are from not like them coming to their area, whether they're from Mexico or New York. Because, I mean, you get the same kind of criticisms about California and New York. People in Arizona don't like people from there just for that reason, because they're different. They just don't think like Arizona mentality. That's what I'm saying. Get acclimated, settle yourself in, become a Phoenix Suns fan, become an Arizona Cardinals fan, immerse yourself in the culture, be a Zony, and you'll fit in. If you're coming here trying to be from wherever you're from, that's when you're going to end up, catching flack. Acclimate yourself, become a part of the surroundings. Or stay the same, but just bear in mind when you're doing that, you're setting yourself up to be an out-of-towner, a snowbird. Okay? Easy stuff, easy peasy. Anyways, guys, I hope this answers the question. I know it's a lot of opinion, but you asked me for my opinion. I'm going to give my opinion. I know there's going to be people out there who are not going to agree with it. But thanks to everyone who's been liking these videos, and we'll keep them coming.